Welcome back to the LINX 3.0 tutorial series. I'm Sam Christoph from LabVIEW MakerHub, and in this video, I'll show you how to set up your Raspberry Pi to use with LabVIEW and LINX. We'll start by downloading an SD card image for the Pi. So I'll launch a browser and browse to raspberrypi.org/downloads. From there, I'll click on Raspbian to download a Raspbian image, and I have the option of Raspbian Jessie or Raspbian Jessie Lite, and I want the full version. So I'll click Download Zip under Raspbian Jessie. This will take a little while to download, but once it does, you'll have a zip file containing the SD image. If I jump to my Downloads folder, I can see I already have one downloaded, and I've extracted it to this Raspbian Jessie image. You can see it's about 4 gigabytes, so you'll need an SD card with at least 4 gigabytes of space, and I recommend at least an 8 gigabyte card, so you have room for LabVIEW and to log files and things like that. Next, we'll need a utility to let us load that image onto our SD card. We'll go back to the browser and search for Win32diskimager. The first link is a sourceforge.net link, and that's the correct one, so I'm going to click on that. And then I'll click the green download button. This will start the installer download. And once again, I've done this already, so I'm just going to jump to my folder. And you can see here I have the Win32diskimager installer. I'll double click to open that, and you can install it just with all the default options. So I'll hit accept and just choose next and choose install. At the end of the install, it'll ask if we want to launch Win32diskimager, but on Windows 8 that launch fails from the install wizard, so we'll just go launch it manually. So I'll uncheck both of those and hit finish. Then I'll click this computer to go back to my computer and choose Program Files x86 and Image Writer. In here you can see the Win32diskimager, and if I launch it this way, it'll work just fine. Now I'm going to insert my SD card into my computer with a USB to SD card adapter. And you can see it shows up as G:, and that is selected under Device. And then for the image file, I'll hit the little blue folder icon, and it defaults to my downloads folder, and I'll select that Jessie image that we just downloaded. I'll choose open and bring Win32diskimager back up here, and then choose write. Now this will warn you, it's going to erase everything on that SD card, and there's no getting it back. So just be careful and make sure that you know which card you're writing to. So I'll hit yes to continue, and this will take just a minute, so we'll jump ahead to when it's done. When Win32diskimager is done, it'll pop up a little box that says the write's successful. I'll go ahead and hit OK and close Win32diskimager. And I'll return to my computer and find my SD card and right click and choose eject to safely eject it. Then I can remove the SD card from my computer, and I'll go ahead and insert that into my Raspberry Pi and also connect the Raspberry Pi to Ethernet to give it internet access. So we're going to need internet access to the Pi for the next steps, and then I can go ahead and power on the Raspberry Pi. Once the Raspberry Pi is booted, we can use LabVIEW now to install the LabVIEW software to the Raspberry Pi. So I'll launch LabVIEW 2014. And then I'll choose Tools and MakerHub, LINX, and LINX Target Configuration. When you're using BeagleBone Black and Raspberry Pi, you'll use the target configuration. If you're still using devices like Arduino and ChipKit, you can use the LINX firmware wizard. But we're using a Raspberry Pi, so we'll choose Target Configuration. This brings up a wizard to help us install software and configure the device. First, you'll enter your hostname or IP address. By default, the Raspberry Pi will be called Raspberry Pi. The default username for Raspbian is Pi, and the password is Raspberry. I happen to know that my Raspberry Pi is not named Raspberry Pi, but is 192.168.1.89. So I'll go ahead and hit connect, and this will connect to the Raspberry Pi. And once it has, the tabs on the left will become available. So you can click Target Info to see the OS version, some CPU info, and this will check whether you have internet access or not. This will also show you a log file of the installation process if you ever need that. you can look at the Network Settings tab, where this will let you configure your Ethernet and Wi-Fi settings on the Raspberry Pi. So if you have Wi-Fi, you can use this to configure it. You can also change the host name here to give your Raspberry Pi a unique name. But we'll leave all this the same for now. Generally, you won't need to touch this, but it's just kind of nice to have. So we'll click Install Software, and you can see we don't have a LabVIEW version installed, but 14.1-9 is what's available. So that's good. We'll go ahead and install that. Go ahead and click the Install button, and the status bar at the bottom will update to indicate the status of our installation. And this could take a couple minutes depending on your internet connection. If there are any issues during installation, a warning box like this one will pop up. And this says that the installation can continue, but there are several issues that we should address. You'll almost always see this one with a fresh SD card image, where it says that the partition size is only 4 gigabytes of the available 15. So I'm using a 16 gigabyte SD card. By default, your LabVIEW or none of the other applications running on the Raspberry Pi can access more than 4 gigabytes of the SD card. And we want it to have access to the whole SD card. So I'll go ahead and click Expand Partition. There could be some other issues you run into, but this wizard will generally fix the issues for you, or in the lower left, you can click the Help button to get linked to a help document for that specific issue. And now that issue has been resolved, and it looks like there are no other issues. So we're good to continue, and I'll hit Continue to continue the installation. Now you can see we're updating the package index, and the next step will be to install LabVIEW, and then this box should report that the install was successful. So let's jump ahead to then. All right, we can see that the installation completed successfully. So we'll stop here, and in the next tutorial, we'll learn how to write VIs and run them on our Raspberry Pi.
Make sure to check out LabViewMakerHub.com for more tutorials and projects, and ask any questions you have on the MakerHub forums at LabViewMakerHub.com/forums.